Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Accounting Trailblazers Podcast. Our trailblazer today is Michael Haynes. He is a business growth advisor. He is an expert and he works with professional services firms like accounting, CFO advisory, IT, law. He's been working with them for over a decade, helping them identify and find new clients, create go to market strategies, helps them come up with new services that their clients need. And he has this really unique growth framework that we'll talk about today. But Michael, thank you so much for being a guest and welcome.
Thanks, Anshul. Great to be here, and I'm very much looking forward to our conversation this afternoon.
Absolutely. And so for let's start by learning more about you. Tell us more about yourself and I know business growth advisor, but it also could mean a lot of things. So
Sure.
tell us exactly what you do and specifically for accounting firms.
Okay, so Michael Haynes, business growth go-to-market specialist. I work, Anshul, specifically with small and medium B2B accounting firms, CFO advisor firms, technology companies on their holistic go-to-market strategies to enter new markets, acquire new clients, retain and grow those clients, and overall grow the firms. So that's really my focus. Based here in Sydney, Australia, originally from Toronto, Canada, and I work internationally. Australia, Canada, and the US are my three core markets in which I'm working with professional service firms, accounting being one of them, to help those firms, those small and medium firms, to thrive and grow and achieve the impacts and objectives that the firm founders seek.
So how did you get started with this role? Tell us more about your background and your journey.
So prior to being an independent consultant, and I've been an independent consultant now since 2011, so well over 14, going on 15 years. I did work in big corporate in various roles in strategy, marketing, research. In my big corporate roles, a lot of those roles were working with the small and medium business segment, the SME segment. My last corporate role was working at one of the largest telecommunications company in Australia, Telstra. I was head of customer research and strategy, doing a lot of work with the internal teams within that organization on how they can help deliver to the needs of the small and medium business market. Worked in corporate roles, like I said, Telstra being my last role. Finished there in 2010. Really loved the work, but really wanted to start doing some of my own work, going on my own, working, continuing to work with small, medium businesses. So I hence set up my own consulting practice, and I've been working in the small, medium business segment, working with B2B companies, small, medium B2B companies ever since.
Okay. So tell me more about this unique growth framework. So you've talked about this, what makes it unique and what is it?
Okay, so I have developed as part of working with small, medium B2B professional service firms. I have developed my own go-to-market buyer driven, what I call it, go-to-market framework. One of the underlying principles behind it is that the way in which our buyers of professional services, those seeking advisory services such as accounting services, consulting services, services from IT service providers, the way in which those clients buy is very different and distinct from other different types of professional services, other kinds of B2B. And within professional services, the buyers of those services, accounting, advisory services, their underlying question that is really driving things is who can help me solve whatever objective they're trying to achieve. So by virtue of I work with clients to really help them understand that with buyers of professional services today, they're really tapping into groups and ecosystem people, experts that can help them solve their objectives. It sounds quite subtle, but it has a great impact when you are the likes of an accounting firm and you're looking to build and grow your practice, because it means you really need to understand the clients that you're serving. Who are they? Who are those decision makers? What are their priorities? How do they buy? So where are they doing their research? And with whom are they going to for what I call AIR, advice, insights, and recommendations? So what experts, what groups, what communities, what events are they going to? What ecosystems are they operating in? It is critical in the world of professional services that you understand your clients, your buyers, the decision makers, understand their priorities and challenges and where and with whom they are seeking to get that air advice, insights, and recommendations, because that becomes the basis of where you need to be visible, who you need to be collaborating, working with to gain visibility, acquire and retain those clients that you seek.
As I was listening to you describe the AIR framework, one of the things that popped in was it'd be so difficult for you to get accountants on board because a lot of accountants, the way they do business development is by really not doing anything, right? They rely on inbound leads, they rely on word of mouth, and it's really just very informal and like not structured. So, how do you work with an accounting firm that's like relies so much on traditional non-structured ways of business development and then get them to a very structured way of AIR?
Yeah. So great question. So in terms of the clients that I work with, you're quite right. Many of your firms are still quite traditional and very much relying on the old school ways of just waiting on inbound. And so I guess part of my strategy is really tapping into some of the firms that are really trying to be growth oriented, that recognizing that a key driver is that many of their clients are seeking more now. So if you are an accounting firm and you're servicing small and medium businesses, such as technology companies, for example, these companies, they're looking for a lot more than just a basic transaction. A lot of your small and medium businesses, they themselves are growing. They're being quite innovative, new business models, new products and services going into new markets. Hence, they are seeking more from their accountants. In terms of I guess where I'm quite proactive is working with some of the companies that have recognized that they need to start providing more and doing more in order for them to maintain those current clients and also be tapping into some of the new and emerging sectors that are quite growing and thriving.
So, a couple of questions. Like how are your accounting clients different than other professional services clients you work with, like law or IT or um,
Yeah. So how are they? So I think one of the key things is that I think you've kind of already alluded to already is that many of the accounting firm can be somewhat traditional and really relying on the referrals, word of mouth, and need a bit more education and prompting. That's probably the biggest thing. Across professional services, though, there is a there's probably more, I would say, commonalities in terms of the kinds of clients that they're serving, how clients are looking for more, expecting more, looking for their clients, looking for their advisors, experts to be able to help them across their own growth trajectory, helping them to be connectors to the other service providers that they require. So I would say there's probably more similarities in terms of some of the challenges and what the clients are seeking. Where I think there is a bit of the difference, again, I think you've alluded to it already, is I think some of the mindset of some of the founders. And I'm going to say it's probably some of the older founders are very somewhat traditional and staying in their silos and not recognizing the need to be breaking out and offering more advisory services, getting into new sectors and delivering that expertise and making that available proactively to the markets and clients that they seek to serve.
makes sense. I can relate to talking to older accounting firm owners and how stuck they can be in their ways. So I feel your pain. um, Now, tell me, like, so you talked a lot about objectives, right? I will work with the firm owner to help them with their objectives, whatever they are for their business. What are some common objectives you're seeing in the accounting space?
I would say one of the big common objectives is very much around, again, with some of these kind of more progressive growth oriented firms, is that they are looking either to see if they can tap into some new industry sectors. Because, for example, in the technology space, there are a number of sectors within technology that are burdening and growing, such as AI, cybersecurity, biotech, health tech, some of the deep technology sectors. Those are firms that really want to be able to start tapping in and delivering to the requirements of those growth companies, because they can provide a lot of opportunity in terms of your potential client lifetime value book of business. There's a lot of opportunities there. Wanting to go into new sectors, and then also how can they go about becoming more advisory? Because this is a term that has been thrown around, and many accounting firm leaders don't really understand, well, what does that really mean? I think many accounting firm leaders are often intimidated by the likes of the term advisory because they don't know what it means and they think it's this big, omnipotent, something that's totally new. And in many cases, and it all comes back to really understanding your clients and what are they needing in terms of where they need advice, insights, recommendations. And often what your clients are seeking is around the expertise that you actually know and have within your firm already. So it's not about necessarily creating this big new entity, Anshul. It could be about providing that education through content, through the likes of workshops, webinars, those kinds of things, where you're relaying that expertise. So it's not this something new that you've got to make massive investment and create this whole new part of the firm. It's often leveraging the intellectual capital, the knowledge within your firms, and making it available to your clients and prospects. Because often on topics that are of interest to them, because in many cases they're not aware that, oh, you have expertise and being able to provide guidance with A's or going into new jurisdictions or what have you. They're often not aware of those knowledge and insights that you can provide. So often it's very much leveraging what you have existing, but making it available to your clients and prospects.
Makes sense. And so one thing that I see a lot with accountants is that they know they need to expand into advisory. They know they need to embrace AI, but they often get stuck in, what do I do today? How do I get started?
Yeah.
So do you run into those issues, like, and what's your advice for any accounting firm owner who's like, I do want to enter new markets. I do want to offer new services, but like, how do I get started? Because it's also overwhelming right now.
Great question. So the starting point, so the reason why I call my company Listen, Innovate, Grow, because listening is the first step that firms have to undertake in terms of identifying new market opportunities. And so by listening effectively means getting an in-depth, detailed understanding on three levels. Listening to you, so you're, as in you, the firm leaders, understanding your firm. What are your goals, your objectives, your strengths, core capabilities? Making sure you have a clear understanding of where you want to go, where you're, what are your strengths? Where are you currently winning? Making sure you have a clear understanding of that. What I call listening to the market. And so that's really about doing your detailed industry, market, and competitor analysis to really understand those industries and geographic markets, both those that you currently serve and those that you seek to serve. So we want to understand within those industries and markets, the market size, the growth, market size, growth potential, what's the regulatory political environment, what are some of the broad client customer demand, so we can understand where are some of the potential within those industry verticals, within geographic markets. So doing that in-depth understanding some of the competitors from a client point of view as to what are the alternatives that clients and prospects are looking at. So you can get in a sense of what is the opportunity and attractiveness of specific markets. And then there's what I call listening to the client, listening to the buyer. And that's about really understanding on a client slash customer or client level, as I prefer to call it, to making sure we understand at a decision maker buyer level. Who are the decision makers? So who makes the decision as to whether I'm going to go with your firm or someone else? What are their key priorities, challenges, and drivers that are top of mind, those key Monday morning problems that are keeping them up at night, those core objectives and issues? And then also, how do they buy? So how are they going to be researching and deciding, what is their buyer journey, their research process? You really want to have an understanding of those three questions. And it's by gaining an understanding through that listening, that is how you're going to identify what are the right opportunities. So doing that industry market analysis, that listening, and that buyer understanding, it's really, those are the two starting points to really identify what are the opportunities in the marketplace.
So one thing I struggle with is the buyer part of it, right? So I understand the industry analysis. There's a lot of information online. I could talk to a few experts and get that. But let's talk about the buyer mindset. What are they thinking? How are they buying?
Yep.
As an accounting firm owner, like, how do I actually get those insights?
Yes. Great question. And the first place that you should be start looking at is within your own client base. So I always have all my clients. We always look at doing some interviews with a subset of your client base, with some of the decision makers of your client base. And so conducting interviews, they can be online or in person, around 30 to 45 minutes. And we want to understand, and within those interviews, want to understand where is that client at today? So where are they at today? What are the objectives that they're seeking to achieve? Where are they having gaps and or challenges? So asking those kinds of questions, where you are, where you seeking to go, where are you stuck? What is it that you think that you need? What are some of the alternatives that you're seeking? So these are some of the kinds of questions that you'll incorporate as part of that discussion, and you'll do it with a cross section of your clients. And ideally, you want to deal with current clients that you have as well as prospects. So clients that you don't have, but you're seeking to get, because you want to get that market view to understand the needs of your current client base as well as those that you want to acquire. What are their concerns, challenges, priorities? What are their decision drivers on how they're going to choose one firm over another? You want to understand from a prospect as well, so you can understand what are some of the things that you may need to do internally within your firm to maintain your current clients as well as to acquire and grow them. So doing a cross section of interviews is always a key starting point. And I guarantee you will come up with some key, very specific, actionable insights from those interviews and reviewing and analyzing the feedback from those interviews.
Okay. So I understand reaching out to current clients. They'll give me time.
Yeah.
But like, what are your tips on how do I get prospects to give me that time? Because they're getting hit by other vendors, maybe other accounting firms. It's hard to get a prospect on the phone any which way. So what's like your advice? How do I get a prospect on the phone for like this discovery call or this like deep dive call?
Okay, yeah. So in terms of this deep dive call, again, it's very much how you position it and really positioning it around that you really want to be understanding their needs, how to better understand their priorities of what they're seeking to achieve. And when you frame the purpose of that discussion in that frame, people are quite keen to talk about what they need, where they're trying to go, where they need help. People are quite keen to do so. And when you make it very clear that that is the purpose of that discussion and the sole purpose of that discussion, it is not a sales call disguised in any way. There'll be no product offers. This is solely to understand how we can best and better serve your needs moving forward. You will get folks that will be willing to devote 20, 30 minutes to talk about their needs and their requirements. But the key is about positioning, because 90% of other organizations approaching prospects are trying to get a sale. They're not interested in feedback. They're trying to make the pitch. You're making it very clear this is not a pitch. There's no selling. There'll be nothing offered whatsoever. It's all about you providing your feedback. And I guarantee you, there you will be able to find prospects, because there's always, you know, at least in most cases I found, you always can find a few that are more than willing to talk about what they need, what are some of the shortcomings of where other providers have fallen short, and what they need and require. So you really frame it properly and stick to that, you will be able to get folks to devote time to provide the info that you need. And you want to make sure that you're documenting and recording all of these discussions. That is very important as well, because you want to be able to go through and analyze the results to really understand what are some of the common themes, priorities, what's required.
Okay. So let's talk about, let's say I've decided that, okay, I need to grow. I need to enter new markets, launch new services. I need an expert and we work with you. What are the first few days like working with you or like any expert for that matter? Like, what can I expect?
Okay, well, I can't necessarily speak for other experts. For myself, one of the first things I always will have is there will be a bit of a deep dive discussion with the firm leaders to really unpack and understand, key priorities, objectives, what they're looking to do with the business. I tend to have my clients send me through some of their key documents in terms of what are some of the current initiatives that they've done. They often will send me their business plan so I can go through and review. And so there'll be deep dive discussions with the stakeholders, review of some key documents, and then I'll do a bit of a strategic audit of those to see what I'm gaining from those. Those are some of the initial steps. And then, so deep dive discussion, a bit of a strategic audit, and then we'll map out what are some of the next steps, which often will involve potentially looking at interviewing some clients and prospects and working out what's going to be the roadmap, what's kind of the plan of attack.
Okay. So can you share like a case study? Like I'm very interested in hearing, that there's an accounting firm, they came to you with a problem and how you worked with them, what was the result?
There's a firm here in Sydney, LMS Advisory, was working with this firm. It's an SMB firm, doing quite well, working across a number of sectors, kind of ad hoc, whole range of sectors, engineering, construction, professional services, allied health, medical, dental, the whole works. And they wanted to looking to kind of build a firm profile, looking to grow, wanted to understand what could be some key industry sectors that they might want to do a bit of a deep dive in. Went through quite an extensive process with this firm. This is about a 20-person firm, by the way. So we had a bit of an education session with the entire team and had a half day session to kind of take them through and kind of give them some key insights around what's happening in the world of accounting and what buyers of professional services are seeking. And then we also went through the actual process of I had deep dive meetings with the managing director, co-founder. I went through and did quite a detailed analysis, first an internal analysis to understand their current book of business, to really understand, where are they getting some of their wins in terms of most profitable clients, references and referrals. So where are they winning internally, getting a sense of understanding of the key clients there, where they're having wins and successes. Did some research and industry research around some key industry sectors that they were looking at, because they were looking at some subsectors within tech, prop tech, real estate being two of them. So did all that industry market competitor analysis, did about 14 interviews with a cross section of their clients and prospects, which led us to some key insights around one of the big learnings around that were in terms of some of the advisory type services. What were some of the additional services? Where were some of the gaps that they were seeing in terms of what they were looking for? Because the big learning came out that while the firm is quite good, many of their companies are growing companies, and there was a concern by about, I would say, 4 or 5 founders that, okay, our companies are kind of going into phase 2 and phase 3 of growth. How is the firm going to maintain with us? There were some key learning areas that they wanted to get more advice and insights on. And we developed some workshops, webinars, and a whole kind of content program around some of those areas. So as a result, we developed a go-to-market strategy and identifying some key industry sectors. What were some current sectors within a lot around professional services that they were going to be maintaining to continue to bolster and grow in? And what were going to be some new sectors, subsectors within technology that they're going to be looking to get into? Mapped out a program of some new advisory offerings, which were going to be very much around a lot of workshops, lunch and learns, getting them also involved in some strategic collaborations as well. So that, at a high level nutshell, some of the things that we were able to do as part of their overall growth strategy. And as a result, they have now started to grow quite well in some of their current sectors, as well as gaining some traction in some of the new subtech sectors within the Australian market.
Amazing. So, one last question. What advice do you have for accounting firm owners that are struggling to grow right now?
So if you're struggling to grow, my advice would be is first off is talking to your current clients, because your current clients and having discussions with them, having a discussion with a small group of them, that is often a good starting point to help you to identify where are some of the opportunities to win from your current client base. Because as we well know in professional services, like probably with other sectors, though, acquiring clients takes a lot of work, but when you've got clients that you have with you already, there's often opportunities for you to do upsells, cross sells. So talking to your current clients, looking at your current client base, speaking with them, understanding what are their needs and priorities moving forward, and seeing how you might be able to achieve those. I guarantee you're liable to find at least one opportunity, if not more, to grow with your existing client base. And also, yeah, reviewing the client base as well to see, what proportion of your current product service offering, what proportion do you have in terms of the potential client spend? So starting from your current client base, talking to those decision makers should be the number one activity, because you will get some insights, some headway as to where you should be looking at potential opportunities.
Awesome. Michael, thank you so much. I don't have any more questions. Thank you so much for sharing about you, sharing so much about how accounting firms can think about growing, diversifying into different sectors, into different services. For the audience, if you are at a point where you want to grow, but you're not quite sure what to do, You could reach out to Michael. We'll include his contact information. You can also, as Michael said, reach out to your current clients and get started. So thank you again for tuning in. And Michael, thank you again for being a guest. I sincerely appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. I thoroughly enjoyed our conversation this afternoon.
Likewise.